At the end of this week's Parshat Vayechi, the brothers conjure up this idea that now Yosef's hatred will resurface towards them, since their father Yaakov is no longer living. The question is why? And it seems to be that they assume that Yosef's hatred was only covered up because Yaakov was living. But now that he's dead, he will demonstrate this hatred towards them. And then, because of this, the brothers then go to Yosef and they tell him that Yaakov has commanded them to say that he should act in a forgiving way towards them and be forgiving to them because they too are servants of their father's God. Now, question is, this is clearly a false claim that the brothers are making, because if Yaakov really wanted this, he would have for sure just gone to Yosef and told him. So what's the reason for the brothers' lie? Why are they coming up with this lie? So it's interesting. We already see a principle that comes up by the story of Avram and Sarah and Hashem. When Hashem comes to Sarah and tells her that she's going to have a child, that she says that both she and Avraham are too old, and Hashem then tells Avraham only what Sarah said about herself, not about Avram. This idea of a white lie being okay. And the question is really we see there are two values at play. There's the value of truth on the one hand, and there's the value of shalom and peace on the other hand. The question is, which takes precedence? And questions like this are common within halacha and yes, even hashkafa as well. We see for example, in the Gemara in Maseches Megillah, is that we have not contradicting, but two different values at play, and the question is which one would take precedence. We have the examples of Talmud Torah versus Meitz Mitzvah, and then Talmud Torah Meitz Mitzvah versus Avoda, and Meitz Mitzvah versus Megillah. And we see that Meitz Mitzvah takes precedence over all of these, even Megillah, which has the value of Persume Nisa backing it. But that Meitz Mitzvah, the idea of doing something for someone else, that always takes precedence. And I think we see a similar idea here. And we see that at the end of the day, the brothers were allowed to come up with this lie, just as Hashem was, of course, allowed he demonstrated with this lie, with this white lie by Sarah and Avraham, this idea of these white lies for the sake of shalom. And I think to take it even deeper, as we see both stories by Avram and Sarah, and by here with Yosef and his brothers, are not just stories between two people, but they're stories that have to deal with the family. And when you see the importance of shalom bayis with regards to a family, and the importance of familial bonds and building that strong family together, that sense of unity together, that it might warrant a white lie here and there. And I think to take this idea of family one step deeper, we see when the brothers make this false claim, they say this lie about what Yaakov commanded them to Yosef. When they quote what Yaakov supposedly said, they mention that he referred to them as brothers, while they themselves only refer to the commonality between themselves and Yosef as Avdei Elokei Avicha, not as brothers, but as they are both servants. And I think there's an interesting idea here, in that the brothers didn't consider themselves as brothers anymore based on what they did, but at the very least they still considered themselves in the same part as in the same covenant. I think this is the second takeaway. The first one, we see the value of shalom, even regards when it's going against the value of truth. But here, the second takeaway is that even when someone has wronged us, even when we might have a taina, a claim against someone else, the idea to always remember that we're all part of the same mission and same destiny. And that's what Rav Hirsch talks about. And he explains this idea that when they say Avdei Elokei Avicha, they're not saying that even though they're no longer brothers, we're still in the same covenant and we still have the same mission. And to keep that in mind when we have people that maybe we don't get along with as well. And at the very least, we're brothers, we have the same goals. If someone different ashkaf, a different city, different model of Judaism, but to always remember that we have this commonality. And whether you can see it on the surface or not, to remember deep down inside, we're all trying to fulfill the same mission. If we keep that in mind, hopefully we can bring each other together. And everyone should enjoy.